लाइफ में लेना देना तो चलता रहता है। इधर फ्लेक्सी लोन से बोरो कर लिया और उधर बाय मॉम डैड का वेकेशन डन। शादी का डिसीजन लिया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से और बोरो किया। प्रमोशन मिला तो ये लो थोड़ा लोन वापस कर दिया। थैंक यू। नए इंटीरियर्स का दिल किया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से फिर थोड़ा ले लिया। ईयर एंड बोनस मिला तो इस बार लोन ज्यादा वापस कर दिया। लाइफ में लेना देना चलता रहेगा तो लोन्स में क्यों नहीं। इसीलिए फ्लेक्सी लोन फ्रॉम बजाज फिनसर्व एक ऐसा लोन जो जब चाहे बोरो करे, जैसे चाहे रीपे करे, वो भी चुटकी में। थिंक इट डन विद बजाज फिनसर्व।
हेलो, हर सीजन के लिए नए इंटीरियर्स।
हाँ, वो भी हर रूम के लिए।
फ्रिज, स्मार्टफोन या बड़ा टीवी,
तीनों क्यों नहीं?
अरे ये तो शॉपिंग लिस्ट में नहीं था।
सो अब शॉपिंग कार्ट में तो है। सॉरी।
अच्छा, नए आउटफिट्स की विश लिस्ट।
विश क्यों? Just add to cart and buy.
तो ये सब EMI पे?
और वो भी चुटकी में। On India's fastest growing EMI network. Think it done with Bajaj Finserv.
सर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। साहब, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। हुजूर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान।
अपनों को खुशियां दिलाना आसान नहीं बनाते तो आगे कैसे बढ़ते। इसीलिए हम जो भी करते हैं उसे बेहतर बनाते आ रहे हैं, बनाते रहेंगे। बजाज फिनसर्व, थिंक इट डन।
माँ के बेडरूम का एसी या लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई। पुणे, पटना, चेन्नई, मथुरा या फिर बेगूसराय, या फिर बेगूसराय। नए घर के लिए चाहिए 4K टीवी हाई फाई, या फिर वाइफ को चाहिए लेटेस्ट स्टाइल। EMI है ना, EMI है ना, EMI। मॉड्यूलर किचन में पुराना फ्रिज क्यों है भाई?
शादी है नहीं, मैट्रेस पुराना है भाई। अक्खा इंडिया बोले भाई प्राइजेस है हाई। बेस्ट ही खरीदना है तो अपने EMI स्टोर पर आए।
EMI है ना, EMI।
अब काशी हो या वाशी, महंगा लगे तो EMI और बेस्ट ही चाहिए तो भी EMI, क्योंकि बजाज फिनसर्व का EMI है ना। विजिट www.emistore.com।
EMI है ना, EMI है ना, EMI।
धोखा है धोखा, धोखा ना खाओ जी। इंश्योरेंस फ्रॉड से बचना है बहुत जरूरी जी। वो एजेंट है या फ्रॉड पता लगाओ जी। एक्स्ट्रा ऑफर के झांसे में कहीं फंस ना जाओ जी। अगर कोई अनजान कॉलर इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी डिटेल्स मांगे तो कह देना उनको मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो, हमेशा सेफ रहो जी। Always verify the caller and do not surrender your insurance for attractive offers. हमेशा सावधान रहे, safe रहे. Issued in the interest of public awareness by Bajaj Finserv. धोखा है धोखा, धोखा ना खाओ जी।
जो होगा सो होगा ऐसे ना सोचो जी कॉल पे कोई पूछे ओटीपी दो ना जी
तो कह देना उनको
मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो हमेशा सेफ रहो जी
Being a hero is all about heart. It's not about ruling the world. It's about owning it. It's not about winning a race. It's about delivering a smile to the human race. It's about a spirit that just cannot be confined by geographies. It's about the heart that beats for the future and a soul that echoes the values of generations. And yet, being a hero is never about the hero. It's about the millions who celebrate them. Hero Motorcorp, the motorcycle leader. There's a gush of wind that hums a sweet song. There's a gush of wind that fights like a hero to fill the world with possibility. There's a gush of wind that jumps across oceans and mountains, embracing the entire planet. There's a gush of wind that blows away darkness. There's a gush of wind that blows for humanity. Because at Hero, we care.
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are $100 billion global enterprise. Our today has been built on enduring values. Our today is about delivering excellence across business sectors. Our today is about building a future-ready nation. Our today has a strong foundation with community at its core. Our today is dedicated to the communities we serve. Our today is always about more than just today. Our today is a continuous journey for a better tomorrow. Tata, leadership with trust.
Behold, the story of victory, of life over malady. Behold the saga of power, of science over sickness. Behold the tale of triumph, of dedication over disease. Behold the rise and rise of Cadillac Pharmaceuticals Limited, one of India's largest privately held pharmaceutical companies based out of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. Cadillac Pharmaceuticals was born out of the vision of a legend who left an indelible mark in the chronicles of Indian pharmaceuticals industry. He was Indravadan Ambalal Modi, the founder chairman of the company, rightfully christened as the medicine man of India. His vision to alleviate pain of the underprivileged through research-driven innovations has been driving Cadillac Pharmaceuticals for more than 6 decades now. Innovations which are backed by the key strengths of the company, the state-of-the-art manufacturing and research facilities. The flagship manufacturing facility at Dholka, Gujarat, sprawls over 100 acres. This avant-garde facility is US FDA approved, besides meeting most of the stringent quality standards across the globe. It manufactures tablets, capsules, injectables, liquids, and orals. The second formulations manufacturing facility is located at Samba in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The API facilities at Ankleshwar, Gujarat, manufacture a large number of key APIs and intermediates at this US FDA and ISO 9002 and ISO 14001 accredited plant. The company also has set up its first ever overseas formulation manufacturing facility at Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. This world-class facility is the only WHO CGMP compliant manufacturing facility in the region. More than 850 products spread across 12 specialties with many of India's top brands in its basket. Great goals are defined by far-sighted vision and achieved by seamless teamwork. A multicultural, multilingual and multinational workforce of over 7,000 employees is truly the propelling power of the company. Not just in the domestic market, the company has a wide global footprint with over 1,000 marketing authorizations across 85 countries. Its international sales force of over 150 highly diversified and versatile personnel lends it an outreach that blankets the globe. As the company grows, so does its commitment to research. Manned by more than 350 scientists, the R&D facilities of Cadillac Pharmaceuticals at Dholka, Gujarat is an institution of breakthrough innovations. To take the focus on innovation to the next level, it partners with leading international companies to discover newer treatments. The Cadillac Pharmaceuticals Group is gigantic. Its group companies complement and expand the dynamic vision of the company across new avenues of healthcare and newer fast-paced business areas. Cadillac Pharmaceuticals is a gentle giant. Decades of dedicated research, groundbreaking healthcare innovations, and worldwide impact proves the infinite potential of one powerful emotion. Care. The success of Cadillac Pharmaceuticals bears testimony to the fact that the care continues.
आने वाले कल की दस्तक हमें सुनाई देती है, नई मंजिल है जिस ओर हमें वो दिशा दिखाई देती है। नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए जोश से निकल पड़े हम, आने वाला कल होगा हमारा। नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
और नए इंडिया के सफर में टेक्नोलॉजी की शक्ति लेकर आपका भागीदार रहेगा रिलायंस। नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
लाइफ में लेना देना तो चलता रहता है। इधर फ्लेक्सी लोन से बोरो कर लिया और उधर बाय मॉम डैड का वेकेशन डन। शादी का डिसीजन लिया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से और बोरो किया। प्रमोशन मिला तो ये लो थोड़ा लोन वापस कर दिया। थैंक यू। नए इंटीरियर्स का डील किया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से फिर थोड़ा ले लिया। ईयर एंड बोनस मिला तो इस बार लोन ज्यादा वापस कर दिया। लाइफ में लेना देना चलता रहेगा तो लोन्स में क्यों नहीं। इसीलिए फ्लेक्सी लोन फ्रॉम बजाज फिनसर्व एक ऐसा लोन जो जब चाहे बोरो करे, जैसे चाहे रीपे करे, वो भी चुटकी में। थिंक इट डन विद बजाज फिनसर्व।
हेलो, हर सीजन के लिए नए इंटीरियर्स?
हाँ, वो भी हर रूम के लिए।
फ्रिज, स्मार्टफोन या बड़ा टीवी?
तीनों क्यों नहीं?
अरे ये तो शॉपिंग लिस्ट में नहीं था।
सो अब शॉपिंग कार्ट में तो है। सॉरी।
अच्छा, नए आउटफिट्स की विश लिस्ट।
विश क्यों? जस्ट ऐड टू कार्ट एंड बाय।
तो ये सब EMI पे?
और वो भी चुटकी में। On India's fastest growing EMI network. Think it done with Bajaj Finserv.
सर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। साहब, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। हुजूर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता।
अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान।
अपनों को खुशियां दिलाना आसान नहीं बनाते तो आगे कैसे बढ़ते। इसीलिए हम जो भी करते हैं उसे बेहतर बनाते आ रहे हैं, बनाते रहेंगे। बजाज फिनसर्व, थिंक इट डन।
माँ के बेडरूम का एसी या लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई। पुणे, पटना, चेन्नई, मथुरा या फिर बेगूसराय, या फिर बेगूसराय। नए घर के लिए चाहिए 4K टीवी हाई फाई, या फिर वाइफ को चाहिए लेटेस्ट स्टाइल। EMI है ना, EMI है ना, EMI। मॉड्यूलर किचन में पुराना फ्रिज क्यों है भाई?
शादी है नहीं, मैट्रेस पुराना है भाई। अक्खा इंडिया बोले भाई प्राइजेस है हाई, बेस्ट ही खरीदना है तो अपने EMI स्टोर पर आए।
EMI है ना, EMI।
अब काशी हो या वाशी, महंगा लगी तो EMI और बेस्ट ही चाहिए तो भी EMI, क्योंकि बजाज फिनसर्व का EMI है ना। विजिट www.emistore.com।
EMI है ना, EMI है ना, EMI।
धोखा है धोखा धोखा ना खाओ जी इंश्योरेंस फ्रॉड से बचना है बहुत जरूरी जी वो एजेंट है या फ्रॉड पता लगाओ जी एक्स्ट्रा ऑफर के झांसे में कहीं फंस ना जाओ जी
अगर कोई अनजान कॉलर इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी डिटेल्स मांगे तो कह देना उनको
मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो हमेशा सेफ रहो जी
Always verify the caller and do not surrender your insurance for attractive offers. हमेशा सावधान रहे, safe रहे. Issued in the interest of public awareness by Bajaj Finserv.
धोखा है धोखा धोखा ना खाओ जी जो होगा सो होगा ऐसे ना सोचो जी कॉल पे कोई पूछे ओटीपी दो ना जी
तो कह देना उनको
मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो हमेशा सेफ रहो जी
Being a hero is all about heart. It's not about ruling the world. It's about owning it. It's not about winning a race. It's about delivering a smile to the human race. It's about a spirit that just cannot be confined by geographies. It's about the heart that beats for the future. And a soul that echoes the values of generations. And yet, being a hero is never about the hero. It's about the millions who celebrate them. Hero Motorcorp, the motorcycle leader. There's a gush of wind that hums a sweet song. There's a gush of wind that fights like a hero to fill the world with possibility. There's a gush of wind that jumps across oceans and mountains, embracing the entire planet. There's a gush of wind that blows away darkness. There's a gush of wind that blows for humanity. Because at Hero, we care.
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon,
Good
everyone.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening.
Erica.
Good morning to you, Madam Minister, Canada.
Hello, everybody.
There's no virtual background with me.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Minister. We're just waiting for everybody else. Yeah.
Honorable Ministers, we are just getting connected to our Indian Commerce Ministers, just about coming on the screen. Appreciate your patience, please. Just a couple of minutes.
Dr. Thani, it's wonderful to see you again.
My pleasure.
Pleasure indeed.
Always pleasure to see you guys. Good evening, Naren and CB.
Hi. Hello.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning to different parts of the world. The Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry in India is a little held up in the Parliament session, so it will take a few more minutes before he joins. Kindly bear with us, please.
Minister. Honorable Minister, with your permission, if we can begin this proceedings. Yes, please.
Yeah,
Namaskar.
please start.
Namaskar.
I've just stepped out of Parliament. The session is going on, as you might be seeing on your television screen, and an important bill is being passed in my house. So I've just stepped out of that so that we can start the proceedings. I may have to just go when the bill is being passed. Right now, the minister is on his legs. So my apologies, Dr. Thani and Mary and all my other friends. Real sincere apologies, but I don't know. We had not imagined the session going on so long, but it continues right now also. Thanks.
Thank you. The chairman of the 27th Partnership Summit 2021, Shri Piyush Goyal, the Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Textiles, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution of the Government of India. We have His Excellency Mr. João Rossi, the Minister for External Trade and International Economic Affairs of Brazil. His Excellency Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Al Zaudi, the Minister of Foreign Trade of the UAE. Her Excellency, the Honorable Mary Ng, the Minister of International Trade, Export Promotion, Small Business and Economic Development of Canada. Mr. T.V. Narendran, the President of the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII. Excellencies, the Ambassadors, High Commissioners, various industry and business leaders, past presidents of CII, members of different industry houses, media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all who are joining. As I mentioned, this is the 27th edition of the Partnership Summit, and we are indeed honored to have our Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, who is the chairman of this very important summit. He has been leading this summit, chairing this summit for the last many years. We are also most grateful to the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT, of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry for being the partner of this summit, and deeply appreciate the support that we have been receiving in seeing to it that the summit is well organized. Very, very special welcome to Excellencies, the ministers from UAE, Brazil, Canada. Indeed, a privilege also to welcome all our ambassadors and high commissioners. Very, very special welcome to senior officials and delegates and all other stakeholders who have joined this platform. Just wanted to say that the theme of the Partnership Summit 2021 is partnering for building a new world, growth, competitiveness, sustainability, technology, as we move forward in the post-COVID world. And this Partnership Summit 2021 comprises of 9 different tracks, which are growth, G20, competitiveness, trade, investments, technology, sustainability, social dimension, and geopolitics. So that's the wide range. And the summit will be addressed by several Indian ministers, senior Indian ministers, 23 overseas ministers, as we have some of them present here today, 25 global CEOs, and more than 150 global leaders, CXOs from business, multilateral institutions, experts, think tanks, and experts participating in over 50 different sessions, which are spread over over the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and day after. And there are many countries, 100 countries actually, who are participating with delegates, 6,000 people. And as you can see on the screen, close to 3,000 people at this point in time from 70 odd countries. So I just wanted to give that backdrop and welcome all of you to this Partnership Summit. And once again, thank you for participating with us. And I'll invite Mr. T.V. Narendran, the President of CII, to please give his remarks.
Thank you, CB. Honorable Shri Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Textiles, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Government of India. Excellency Mr. João Rossi, the Vice Minister of External Trade and International Economic Affairs, Brazil. Excellency Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Al Zaudi, the Minister of State for Foreign Trade of UAE. Excellency Honorable Mary Ng, the Minister of International Trade, Export Promotion, Small Business and Economic Development, Canada. CB, Director General, Confederation of Indian Industries. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you're joining us from across the world. As a global economy is dealing with the pandemic, we've had a wave 1 and a wave 2 and a potential wave 3. IMF expects the growth to rebound to about 5.9% in 2021 and 4.9% in 2022. And while the first half of this year was marked by a rebound in the growth due to the revival of economic activities, we are obviously clear that there is more that needs to be done if we are to be safe from subsequent waves, as well as to keep the momentum going. It's in this backdrop that the CII Partnership Summit has been strategized under the theme, as CP said, of building a new world, growth, competitiveness, sustainability, and technology. Growth, which includes livelihoods and incomes, remains a top priority for the world's policy makers, and inequalities have been exacerbated in the pandemic and must be redressed through concerted action. Competitiveness of nations, businesses, and industrial sectors requires strengthening the current global context of heightened trade and investment and the looming withdrawal of stimulus measures. This will require all of us to focus on our investment environment as well as aggregate competitiveness and productivity. Sustainability has reached a level where it permeates all our actions and also creates new opportunities to meet the targets set in COP26 and as outlined by the nation. And businesses and governments should work together to deal with this transition. Finally, technology has added a pillar. The discussions has been added as a pillar in the discussion over the next 3 days, since we are seeing the all-pervasive digitization which is underway, along with the emergence of Industry 5.0 technologies. Access to digital technology will shape our future growth. So let me outline a few imperatives that we would like to put forward for governments and businesses in this context. First, the distribution and supply of vaccines will continue to be one of the primary determinants for a continued and sustained revival. In particular, as is underscored by the latest mutation and the spread of the virus in certain geographies, it's absolutely essential that low-income countries are helped to vaccinate people. Second, the continued government support across sectors may be required, and while inflation has emerged as a key risk for economies, monetary and fiscal support needs to be well thought through and calibrated in terms of withdrawal. Benign international liquidity conditions will help retain the growth momentum. Thirdly, employment conditions are shifting dramatically, and areas such as skill development, digital access, movement of people, and social support should be addressed globally. Fourth, the cross-border trade in both goods and services have been disrupted by the knock-on impact of the pandemic and restrictions on the movement of people. Coordinated measures are required to untangle the multiple areas such as shortage of workers, semiconductor supplies, port backlogs, and so on. Competitiveness of business and firm-level competitiveness, especially for small enterprises, demands targeted actions by the government. Fifth, the climate change mitigation has seen an impetus at the recent COP26 in Glasgow, and the endeavor towards net zero, renewable energy, green hydrogen, and carbon mitigation will impact most of industry while creating new opportunities. Global policy making must factor in the skills and the finance required for this transition. Sixth, with the accelerated pace of technological advance, growth can be made more equitable only by developing the means for wider adoption. Digital infrastructure and skill development systems will be a key endeavor of the partnership. This will bring its own business opportunities and increase in jobs and incomes. The importance of partnerships in addressing global challenges cannot be underestimated. Global institutional frameworks, business and government consultations and collaborations for supporting low-income populations must be strengthened. Efforts for building new partnerships and strengthening existing ones is the way forward for an inclusive and robust recovery. In these dimensions, India's role is being stepped up, and India continues to be resilient and has a robust recovery path with the GDP of 8.4% in the June-September quarter, with widespread vaccination creating consumer confidence. This has been supported by a range of reforms undertaken by the Government of India on areas such as taxation, ease of doing business, infrastructure creation, manufacturing, and many others. These have paved the way for a continued economic revival. India's global engagement spans multiple fronts, including vaccine manufacturing, trade and investments, technology, and climate change, to name a few. Through this year's Partnership Summit, CII continues to carry forward its agenda of building and consolidating strong and resilient partnerships with the world for addressing global challenges, including those posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The interest in India is validated by the strong participation at the 27th edition of the Partnership Summit, as CB has just articulated. And through the deliberations of eminent thought leaders, our hope is that we will have the inputs and perspectives to assist governments in policy formulation and industry in their business strategy. We look forward to productive sessions over the next 3 days And we are grateful to the eminent policymakers, experts, business leaders who are going to be sharing their thoughts on this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Narendran. May I now have the pleasure and privilege to request His Excellency Mr. João Rossi, Minister for External Trade and International Economic Affairs of Brazil.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, please. Yes, you're loud and clear.
Thank you. So, good evening, Minister of Commerce of India, Mr. Piyush Goyal, Minister of Foreign Trade of United Arab Emirates, Mr. Thani bin Ahmed, Minister of International Trade of Canada, Ma'am Mary Ng, Mr. P.V. Narendra of CII, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation. Before making my first remarks, I just wanted to give a special thanks to India, whose government was a key partner in helping Brazil get timely supply of vaccines to our people. Now, thanks to India's support as well, we have almost all Brazilian adult population with first dose of vaccine, and 80% of all the adult population of Brazil is fully vaccinated. So thank you. This has allowed us to keep the double commitment we have of saving lives while protecting economic well-being of our people. So just to give you a few data, the emergency support measures that we took protected 11 million jobs in Brazil in 2020, and our official data registered net creation of over 3.5 million formal jobs since the worst part of the pandemic, with an average of more than 200,000 jobs a month being created since January 2021. Also, our data shows that we had a reduction of unemployment to 12.6%, from 14% to 12.6% this year. So our focus now is on keeping the expenditure under control. We started in 2019 with a public expenditure from 19% of GDP. Then it went to 26% in 2020, and now it went back to 19, 18% of GDP this year. So, and we're expecting a forecast of 18% in 2022. So we haven't seen anything like that in other countries. So this is a very positive result that we have due to our economic and vaccination measures in our country. Primary deficit also went from 10% in 2020, the deficit. Now it fell to 1% of GDP 2021, and we expect a balance or maybe a surplus in 2022. So again, it was the result of the policies and the vaccination in Brazil. And we expect to continue to surprise on the upside. Despite the pandemic, our government has maintained the emergency support to the most vulnerable, and we have moved ahead with pro-market fiscal consolidation measures. Just to give you a few information, our GDP dropped less, recovered faster, and is growing at faster rate than average of the advanced economies and Europe. Our main reforms now on our agenda are the administrative, and some regulatory framework reforms. We are also taking measures for increasing the economic openness of our country, as well as privatizations and concessions. Talking about concessions, we since 2019, our government has auctioned investment commitments of more than $100 billion for the next 10 years, with 125 billion reais in investment grants committed. This private investment will be the drive for sustained economic growth of our country in the next years. For example, the auction of the 5G network, initially estimated at 47.2 billion reais in investment commitments for the next years, will open the country to transformative digital investments. In terms of digitalization, I think it's important to note that Brazil has ranked in 2020 as the 7th among leading countries on scale of public digital services. After South Korea, Estonia, France, Denmark, Austria, and the United Kingdom. The gov.dr platform has more than 115 million users in 2021, and it offers thousands of digital services such as emergency aid registration, social security, unemployment benefits, digitalized IDs, and payment of services. We have been working very hard to improve our business environment, to reduce costs of doing business in Brazil, and we have applied good regulatory practices and increased opportunities for concessions and private investments in Brazil. Sorry. Just to give you a few remarks on our trade liberalization agenda, we are working to reduce our tariff levels, which we believe they are already much higher than the OECD average. We also are working on reducing non-tariff measures in Brazil. Just to give you an example, we have been working on the single window for export and import, and it has this digital platform has already reduced the number of days to import and export in Brazil by over 50%, and it has resulted in savings of more than $30 billion a year for exporters and importers. So this is what we're talking about, reducing red tape for trading with Brazil. And our third main action in the international area is, of course, negotiating trade agreements. We are at this moment negotiating FTAs with Canada, South Korea, Singapore. We are about to start negotiations with Vietnam and Indonesia. And we believe that this would also be an excellent platform if we could increase and expand our trade agreement with India. That would be an excellent opportunity to strengthen trade and investment opportunities and ties between our countries. I believe that our trade flow of $10 billion now is very below our potential. So I wanted to convey this message that Brazil is very willing to strengthen and to expand our trade agreement with India. With that, I want to thank for the invitation and wish very good conversations for the next days. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. With that, may I now move to Her Excellency, the Honorable Mary Ng, the Minister for International Trade, Export Promotion, Small Business and Economic Development of Canada, to give her message.
Namaste, everyone. Hello and bonsoir tout le monde. I would like to start by congratulating the Confederation and the Government of India's Ministry of Commerce and Industry for bringing this year's event to the virtual stage, especially in face of the pandemic and the many challenges that it has presented. I would also like to acknowledge the role that my good friend, Minister Goyal, as the chair of this summit. Thank you, my friend, for all of your work for bringing us together. Canada and India share a very close and special relationship, with deep ties between our people, our communities, our businesses, and our economies. This has been true since well before the pandemic, but it was clear over the past year and a half as we chose to work together and to lean on those ties to bring even greater stability to our shores. Here's just one example. Last year, at the height of the pandemic in Canada, my counterpart, Minister Goyal, and I worked hard to ensure that essential pharmaceutical products and medicine continue to flow from India to Canada. And when India faced acute COVID-19 challenges of its own in 2021, we made sure to send PPE, medicines, and other medical equipment your way. This partnership goes even further. Look at the critical in real-time action between Canada's Providence Therapeutics and India's Biological E that facilitated the technology transfer to create India's first mRNA COVID vaccine, a milestone in our fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. This type of support and partnership is not new to the Canada-India relationship. Thanks to centuries of people-to-people ties, we've always enjoyed a strong relationship and a trade relationship that followed suit. Before the pandemic hit in 2019, two-way trade between Canada and India reached more than $18 billion. And for the last decade as a whole, trade between our nations has increased 68%. And the same goes for investment. Last year, despite the uncertainties of the pandemic, two-way foreign direct investment between Canada and India reached over $4.5 billion. And over the past 5 years, Canadian investments in India have grown more than 50%, now estimated to be about $27 billion. And it's no surprise that Canadian companies like Fairfax Financial, led by Indo-Canadian Premwatsa, are investing in India, with Fairfax now being the majority shareholder in India's third largest airport in Bengaluru. Or that some 92 companies from India, including Tata Consultancy Services, Infosys, and Tech Mahindra, are currently operating in Canada, employing over 19,000 people. As we look to build a strong, sustainable, and inclusive global recovery, partnerships like this one will play a key role to our speedy rebuild. And we know that there are many, many new avenues to explore. India, with its young entrepreneurial population, has become a world-leading tech hub. Like Canada, it is home to one of the world's largest and most effective startup ecosystems, ranked third globally when it comes to unicorns, startup companies valued at more than $1 billion. Canada and India are natural partners for innovation, generating prosperity in both countries. That's why we selected India to launch our new Canada Technology Accelerator. It's a program run by Canada's Trade Commissioner Service. We know that there is much potential between the innovative entrepreneurs and businesses that make up our nation's economies, from agri-food to health tech, and many, many much more in between. The possibilities for cross-border collaboration are endless. Working together, I know that we can secure countless new opportunities for Canadian and Indian businesses of all sizes to sell their innovative, world-class products and services to each other's market. And to that end, I'm encouraged by the meetings the Canadian and Indian governments have had, and by my own exchanges with Minister Goyal moving forward on a potential economic partnership agreement. Looking ahead, we will keep working hard to support the businesses and the partnerships that keep the Canada-India relationship strong. And that includes today's summit, where I know that even more global bridges will be built. I can't wait to hear about the incredible collaborations and partnerships that form over the next 2 days, and all of the innovation, the investment, and the business-to-business ties that you will create. And until then, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Madam Minister. And some of the companies that you mentioned, their CEOs are pretty much present on this call. Thank you. With that, may I now move to His Excellency Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Al Zayedi, the Minister for Foreign Trade of the UAE, to give his address, please. We're just ensuring that something seems to have gone wrong. Just checking. It's pretty much there. We're just waiting. We're just calling up Dr. Thani's office. There seems to be some. He's pretty much logged in, but his video seems to have gone off. We're just trying to get that on.
Chandrajit, I've just talked to Dr. Thani. He had to get into a meeting with His Majesty. So I'll speak first and then we can invite him to talk. He'll join in 10 minutes.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Can I start?
Please. A pleasure and honor to invite you, the chairman of the summit, our Honorable Shri Piyush Goyal, Minister for Commerce and Industry, Textiles, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Please, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, the Director General of CII. His Excellency Mr. João Rossi, the Vice Minister for External Trade and International Economic Affairs, Brazil. His Excellency the Honorable Mary Ng, Minister of International Trade, Export Promotion, Small Business and Economic Development, Canada. Her Excellency, His Excellency Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Al Zayedi, Minister of State for Foreign Trade, UAE, Mr. T.V. Narendran, President CII, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General of CII, Excellencies on the call, captains of industry, heads of institutions, eminent speakers, experts, delegates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The very fact that we have been accommodating each other during this inaugural session, where you accommodated me when I was required to be present in Parliament, and now we are accommodating Dr. Thani, is reflective of this mood of partnership. That is the very essence of this dialogue. And I think that's the spirit which CII is trying to capture when they brought all of us together in this Partnership Summit 2021. And what an appropriate topic you have chosen, Mr. Narendran, CB, and all my friends at CII. My gratitude to you for bringing together so many ministers, so many captains of industry, so many different thoughts, and the variety of subjects that you have chosen for this partnership for building a new world, and with a focus on growth, competitiveness, sustainability, and technology. I think you have encapsulated what the world is looking for in this program, and I'm sure the deliberations will help us come up with truly very, very path-breaking suggestions for the future. It's a remarkable 4-day conference that you've put together, and I'm confident that going forward, the discussions will come up with very, very tangible and doable solutions towards achieving greater growth, towards promoting fair competition, towards ensuring sustainable development and technology absorption across the world. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this topic is absolutely something which every Indian at the core believes in. In our ancient text, we hear about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which translates into the world is one family. And in this interconnected world, there can be no better message than the fact that we all understand and agree that we are all one family. It is often said nobody is safe until everybody is safe in the context of the COVID pandemic. I think I can use that context for almost every aspect of life. Nobody will be happy unless everybody is happy. Nobody will feel satisfied unless everybody gets the basic needs of life, food, shelter, the basic needs like electricity, technology enablement, financial inclusion. And I think that is the very essence of the Sustainable Development Agenda. Our partnerships working together to make the world a better place to live in, the world a safer place to live in, and ensuring equitable progress and prosperity. Not in an egalitarian sense, not in the sense of what at one point of time was promoted, that you take away the riches from the rich and distribute the wealth across the world, but in the sense that opportunities are made available to every citizen of this world, so that those opportunities enable every citizen, empower every citizen to live a better quality of life and provide for his family. In fact, in India, the government works on the principle of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, or Sabka Prayas. If I may translate this philosophy, it talks about all of us working together, all of us working for the collective progress of everybody, of humanity, all of us working in a spirit of trust, and all of us putting in our best efforts, our best foot forward for a better world for our children. And I think Prime Minister Modi's comments, which he made at one of the interactions, are most appropriate to define the very essence of our philosophy and the essence of today's Partnership Summit. And I'd like to quote Prime Minister Modi, "It is only partnerships that will get us to our goals. Partnerships between citizens, partnerships between communities, partnerships between countries." And I think the friends who have gathered in this very important program, inaugural program today, friends who will be engaged in this Partnership Summit over the next 3 days, all of us can agree that particularly in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, when all of us are grappling with this huge humanitarian crisis, it has become essential to introspect each one's role and our collective role to address the problems that the world is facing. India this year is celebrating 75 years of independence. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We will also be taking on the G20 presidency in 2023. In both these very important elements, we hope to promote partnerships, we hope to promote camaraderie amongst nations, we hope to promote fair trade, we hope to promote the essence of democratic institutions working together to support a better future for the entire world and moving towards sustainable development goals collectively in a spirit of partnership. In fact, I was hearing my friend from Brazil and Mary Angie both stressed how partnerships have helped save large sections of society even during the COVID-19 pandemic. India itself is one of the shining examples of both vaccinating our own population, and we have administered 1.33 billion doses so far in India, but also providing vaccines to the rest of the world. We have been exporting in the past, we continue to export, and we have offered to all the countries in the world that we will be willing to supply as many vaccines as other countries would require to ensure equitable availability at affordable prices for vaccines for all the countries in the world. Next year, we plan to produce 5 billion doses of vaccines, and we hope to contribute to making the world a safer place to live in, particularly when we are grappling with this once-in-a-century dimension pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. We have been working together with other countries to support them with medical equipment, with supplies. We've supplied to over 150 countries through the COVID-19 pandemic, medical supplies and equipment, and to many countries, vaccines. I'm sure that similar effort done by all the other partner countries, friendly countries, is being appreciated around the world. I would also like to acknowledge the wonderful support we have received from many countries, just like Mary Angie mentioned, or our friend from Brazil mentioned, Dr. Thani from UAE. All of them have been supportive of India's fight against the pandemic, particularly in the second wave, which was very, very devastating. And I must acknowledge the support of many other countries in Europe, in the United States, in the Far East, Japan, Korea, who have all come to India's support and also have helped us maintain supply chains so that our vaccine production program can take wings. I'm also delighted that India was able to provide food and food supplies to many countries through the pandemic and through difficult times, while we also ran the world's largest food grain program in India, where for 19 months, the government provided free food grains to 800 million people in India, the world's largest food security and free food grain program that we have run in India. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, India has also embarked on the world's largest free healthcare program and are today providing 500 million of our citizens free healthcare for ensuring equitable access of healthcare to the poorest of the poor, to the lower middle classes, and are delighted at the impact it has had on the quality of living for our people. I must share with all our participants today that even in the peak of the COVID, even when the country was under a lockdown, we ensured that we met all our international commitments, particularly on the services side. So we moved quickly to working from home. We moved equipment, we brought broadband connectivity to people's homes, and not for a second did any international commitment that we had made or any services supply chain where India was a stakeholder, maybe in the back office, in some form or the other contributing to international service sector, we did not allow that to suffer for even a second. And therefore today, the world looks upon India as a trusted partner, as someone who will ensure that the world and the economies of the world keep moving relentlessly and ensuring that nobody in the world suffers because of India. Our partnerships are being strengthened by comprehensive economic agreements that we are entering into with different countries, with the engagement with countries like the UAE, Australia, UK, EU, Israel, Canada, with various countries. We are working towards greater degree of partnerships through free trade agreements, through comprehensive economic partnerships, and creating win-win solutions for businesses across sectors, which will help our partners and India and the people of our partner countries and India, businesses prosper in the days to come. We are also engaged in extensive consultations at different multilateral bodies like the WTO to ensure that like-minded nations who believe in free trade, honest trade, transparent trade, support each other and promote each other's businesses. We are having extensive consultations both domestically and internationally towards creating robust rules of origin and trade remedial measures to remove barriers to trade and promote equitable trade amongst nations. I would like to commend the approach both of Indian industry and international industry for the positive approach and the attitude towards supporting our efforts to create these partnerships. Environment is a serious issue. Sustainability is an article of faith for every Indian, for the people of India, and the Honorable Prime Minister at the COP26 has announced very, very ambitious and aggressive targets called Panch Amrit, the 5 targets that will drive India's strategy to confront the challenge of climate change. We are confident of reaching our non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030 and meeting 50% of our energy requirement from renewable energy. We are also aiming for a net zero India by 2070, which for a developing country with huge development imperatives, a desire to take up our per capita income at least 20 times, 30 times from where we are today, this global ambition to become net zero in the fastest possible time and wherever possible by mid-century is being supported in a very big way by India through its relentless efforts and the leadership, the decisive leadership that Prime Minister Modi has been providing towards this program. Today, India's businesses are moving towards adoption of new age technologies like 5G, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and we are confident that our thrust to promote quality and productivity will help us in bringing good manufacturing practices and achieving manufacturing excellence in India. Our startups are leading the way in addressing global challenges and in livelihood generation. I've been seeing the remarkable work of some of the startups, particularly in smaller cities and the smaller towns in India, and the work that they are doing to provide education solutions for fintech, edtech, medical solutions, solutions for sustainability and climate change, waste management, drone technologies. All of these will help progress the economy of India and the world. India's 65 million micro, small, and medium enterprises are fast moving to embrace digitization so that we can make India a trillion-dollar digital economy in the years to come. Under Prime Minister Modi, India is on a journey to transform its landscape. We have been introducing several measures like one of the world's most attractive corporate tax structure, one nation, one tax in the indirect tax regime. We have brought in significant improvements in our ease of doing business. We have a single window where we are moving all applications and approvals. We are introducing production-linked incentives to bring scale of operations and manufacturing in India, and are promoting easier trading relationship with our friendly countries. We hope to work with friends like Dr. Thani from the UAE, with Mary NG from Canada, with Mr. Rossi from Brussels. We are all hoping to expand our partnerships with all of you in a fast-track mode and transform India's economy, India's future. Our performance on the economy has been robust. All economic indicators continue on the upward trajectory. GDP growth in the second quarter was at 8.4%, one of the fastest growing nations in the world. Our indirect tax collections are at an all-time high last month. Our foreign direct investment also has been growing significantly year on year for the last 7 years in a row. I'm sure the strong partnerships that we are looking to develop in economy, trade, technology, research, education, all of these will hold us in good stead for a bright future. In conclusion, I am confident that this summit will help in building new bridges to foster balanced and equitable global growth. I would like to reiterate Prime Minister Modi's message, which he gave today while inaugurating a very, very important program where we have rejuvenated an entire complex of temples at Varanasi, from where Prime Minister Modi himself is a member of parliament, while dedicating to the nation the first phase of this rejuvenation program. The Honorable Prime Minister asked for 3 resolutions from the people of India. 1, cleanliness. 2, creation and continuous efforts for a self-reliant India. When we talk of a self-reliant India, we are talking of an India that works with our partners in the spirit of partnership, so that the new order that is being created, the new supply chains that are being promoted, will help each other becoming reliant, becoming confident, becoming fair trade partners. And I'm sure with this creative effort that all of us are doing, with the confidence of innovation that we are bringing to the table, we will promote each other's economies, promote trade with each other, build stronger and resilient partnerships and supply chains, and work for global good. Thank you very much, distinguished ministers and ladies and gentlemen, for joining this conference. And I would now like to have Chandrajit invite my good friend Dr. Thani to enlighten us with his comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your kind message and for your kind thoughts. And for CII, it's been always a great journey with you of learning. And as we have worked with you over the years, thank you for leading the Partnership Summit. And thanks for all your guidance. With that, ladies and gentlemen, may I now request and invite His Excellency Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Al Zayodi, Minister for Foreign Trade of the UAE, to give his address, please.
Thank you so much, Chandrajit. My dear friend, Your Excellency, Your Excellencies, greetings from the UAE. Really a pleasure to be you all for the CII Partnership Summit hosted by the Government of India and Confederation of Indian Industry. I do remember that a year ago I addressed this summit and I spoke about the power of diversified organization, and specifically how the India partnership enable both countries to rapidly respond to and to overcome the challenges posed by the pandemic. Today, the UAE's partnership with India is stronger than ever. India is now the UAE's largest trading partner, accounting for 9% of the UAE total foreign trade and 13% of the non-oil export. During the first half of 2021, bilateral trade was $20 billion, a growth rate of 20% when compared to the first 6 months of last year. We do believe that there is ever greater progress around the corner. Our two governments are in the process of finalizing the comprehensive economic partnership agreement under the leadership and the support of His Excellency, the Minister, to drive forward trade, investment, and technological exchange. The value of the UAE's non-oil trade with India is expected to rise from the pre-pandemic levels of $40 billion to more than $100 billion within the 5 years. That is why we're making efforts to conclude the deal sometime before the end of this year. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the UAE has always sought to build and maintain strong relationships with the countries around the globe. We strive to build bridges of cooperation and mutual benefits. We do understand that growth cannot occur in isolation. Partnership built around economic developments and trade, as well as investment, which remain a constant focus of the UAE's foreign policy. And the post-COVID world, they remain vital to a long-term sustainable recovery. This is why we're continuing enhancing the openness and attractiveness of our national economy, and we're committed to building on the UAE's reputation as a thriving global trade and economic hub. In 2021, we updated many of our laws and introduced several forward-looking policies reforms to keep the pace of today's economic realities and developmental priorities. For example, the UAE recently announced the project of the 50th initiative, marking the country's golden jubilee with 50 bold, ambitious projects aimed at further diversification and strengthening our economy. In addition, the country's amended the Commercial Companies Law, allowed for the 100% foreign ownership for the first time, enabling investors of all nationalities to fully own any company established by them onshore. In addition, the recent restructuring of the country's entries and residence system supports our national talent attraction strategy and reinforces the UAE's status as an ideal destination for work, investment, entrepreneurship, education, and life. Excellencies, the year we celebrate our 50th year as a nation. As we prepare for the next 50 years, we continue to build on our achievements and transform our economy into a more resilient and sustainable economic model. The current pace of economic activities is creating unprecedented opportunities in our market. Similarly, this summit highlights the economic reforms and investment opportunities across key industries in India. It's really clear that the UAE and India both share bold development aspirations for our economies, and we're all committed to progressive reforms and policy to achieve them. Therefore, this is the right time for our respective public and private sector representatives to continue the dialogue and cover new areas of partnership and collaboration. I'm really optimistic of the outcomes of today's summit, and I'm looking forward to contribute for further UAE-Indian success in the upcoming months and years. Before I end up the talks, I would like to especially thank His Excellency, the Minister Piyush Goyal, for his excellent work and engagement with us through the Higher Investment Committee co-chair by His Excellency and His Highness Sheikh Hamid, looking at the futuristic sectors, talking about the health sector, digitalizations, logistics, supply chain, infrastructure, and even beyond that. The relation showed that there's so many untapped potential between both nations. So we're going to continue to explore and work together with our counterparts, colleagues, and friends in India, so we can enhance and grow up the investment potential in India. So again, thank you so much for the invitation, Your Excellency. I'm looking forward to continue this engagement, relations, and bring more added value to both of our nations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, all our ministers. Thank you, Honorable Shri Piyush Goyal. Thank you, Dr. Thani. Thank you, Mr. Rossi, and thank you, Madam Mary Angie. Your thoughts, your inputs, and your points that you have mentioned in this particular very important inaugural session would go a long way in sort of helping us shape up the agenda for the next 3 days. As Mr. Goyal mentioned a little earlier, these inputs would be extremely valuable for us to carry forward. Thank you very much for participating. And Mr. Goyal, as you know, being the chairman of the summit, we will be coming to you quite a few times during the course of the next couple of days, and you would be in some of the other ministerial sessions. And thank you very much for giving us this leadership once again. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, thank you very much for participating in this inaugural session.